Good morning and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for Envirox's first Cleaning Professionals webinar. My name is Jeff Van Kirk and welcome to Cleaning W.I.S.D.O.M, 6 ways to improve your university cleaning program. To give you a little bit of information about myself, I have spent the last 12 years in the Jan-Sand industry working for Envirox, sold and implemented hundreds of accounts focused mainly on the K-12 and higher education facilities in both the United States and Canada. I have trained thousands of custodial professionals on product, process, and cleaning best practices. A quick note on how this webinar will work. If you have any questions or comments, you can use the private chat window to send us a message. We will be responding to technical questions relating to the function of the webinar immediately and at a later time for all other question types. Throughout the webinar, we will also be asking you questions via polls. We will be offering you some downloadable resources. You will see all of that pop up into the chat window at your right. Today, we're here to talk about the cleaning challenges that affect many of our customers. Colleges and universities often have work spread out over buildings of different ages and material. Budgets continue to get tighter. Turnover in the cleaning industry is estimated at as high as 200%. And then feelings of being unappreciated or general low morale in the workforce. This is where W.I.S.D.O.M comes in. W.I.S.D.O.M, as you can see, is an anagram for 6 areas within your organization that we suggest you could take a look at. As we go along, I'll be asking you questions and getting your input via polls. This will really help shape the discussion. At the end of it, we'll give you some next steps so that you can start making a difference within your own organization. Starting with waste. Waste not, want not is how the saying goes. We start with this topic because sometimes waste can be almost invisible. You've got wasted time, wasted supplies, wasted energy, and it all equals wasted money. Money that could be better spent elsewhere for new equipment or for hiring new staff. Our first question: how much cleaning product do you use in a month? Does it feel like too much? While we wait for the poll's answers, let's just discuss why it's important to have a basic idea of how much product you should be using per month. If you don't have that information, then it's hard to identify whether you're wasting product or not. If you're in the group of people who don't have a good idea how much product you should be using a month, there are ways to tackle this. One of them is to ask the manufacturer for an estimate. Most manufacturers will have calculators based upon your facility size or number of students as to how much product you should normally go through. You can conduct your own test for a week. Make sure staff is carefully following cleaning directions and standard practices. Then see how much you've used after a week. So it looks like currently about half and half of you are regularly measuring your cleaning product usages. Another great way of handling waste is using a closed loop system. Closed loop systems help prevent splashbacks and spills, which could possibly create worker comp issues and lost time. A closed loop system also helps prevent staff from freely pouring product to mix the in-use cleaner. Because we all know more is better, right? Not true. Overuse and heavily mixing cleaning products creates leftover soap residue. That in itself can create many problems such as buildup, dirty grout, streaking floors and windows. I can almost see you guys nodding your head out there. Not to mention creating potential slip and fall situations when water is introduced to the soap residue. Talk about creating an ice rink, right? Moving on to the I in W.I.S.D.O.M. Input. Encouraging feedback is critical to creating a good working environment. Everybody likes to be heard. So our next question that's going to pop up is, how often do you ask for feedback from your staff? Gentleman by the name of Ron Segura wrote about his experience working as a manager of a custodial staff for Walt Disney. We're talking about a huge space here, guys. 750,000 square foot cleaned by 92 in-house custodians. When he started, though, the staff was in a bit of a mess. He had ongoing conflicts between workers and supervisors, clashes between new hires and more seasoned professionals, and a general lack of respect for each other and the company. So how did he solve this, you ask? With a suggestion box. It seems so simple, but it worked. He looked at all the issues as they came into him, and he addressed each and every one of them. In a few months, the box wasn't even necessary. The important step here is to respond to the issues that are being sent in. Non-response will potentially create a situation that is much worse than when it started. Remember, people like to be heard, and this is a good method to let them be heard. So taking a look at our poll results, it looks like, wow, quite a few of you are asking for input on a daily basis. We've got 21% going daily, 43% doing once a week, and 32% on a quarterly. Those are pretty impressive numbers, folks. I encourage you to keep doing that because it's how you are going to get better, and it's how your team's going to be able to get better. If you don't have a suggestion box, then put one in. Just make sure that it allows for anonymous input, that it is checked regularly, and that you address all the issues that are raised. Remember, non-response can be harmful. Beyond that, think of other ways that you can ask for input and do it regularly. It is important to keep it regular and sincere. People will know when you're not being sincere. Moving on, the next one we're going to talk about is safety. There are a lot of ways to talk about safety. You should make sure your cleaning staff is working as safely as possible. But in this case, we're actually talking about how a custodial staff keeps students safe. This is about everything you and your staff do to make the student life better. So let me ask, what would you say is the biggest benefit you and your staff bring to your educational facility? It could be keeping the campus attractive looking. It could be improving student performance. You'll notice the questions to the right, and please respond accordingly. Some of you may have annual review periods where you get to talk about the job your staff does. Some of you may not. It might be that you don't really hear anything unless there are complaints. And trust me, that's probably the one thing you do hear the most is complaints. The idea here is to really understand yourself, how much your staff contributes to a healthier student life. And trust me, it's a lot. So let's look at the poll. It looks like the vast majority of you, the benefit that you provide is helping fight disease. You are absolutely on target there. Absolutely on target. So it's all this and more, right? Cleaning is the first defense against illness. The common cold and asthma are two of the top reasons for chronic absenteeism for students. Good cleaning methods help combat both of these. 20% of schools report having unfavorable indoor air quality, or IAQ. This is not great. You want to be you're sure that your school does not fall into one of this. Improving your IAQ improves standardized testing. Reports have it as much by 14 to 15% better. And instructors miss an average of 5.3 days a year at a cost of $29 billion. You want to talk about waste and wasting money, right? These are all things that you want to be sure that your administration knows about. They need to understand how important your job is. Some people might not feel comfortable about this, worrying that it seems like bragging, but it's not. When I'm out there and I'm training these custodians, there are two things that I always tell them that I cannot live without in my life. The first one's my garbage man. A lot of you are probably out there laughing because you can't live without them either. The second one are the cleaning professionals in our space. You are the first line of defense when it comes to stopping people from catching the cold, from catching the flu. You're one of the most important pieces of that prevention. You're doing a part to protect your students and the university. And to help with that, we've got a PDF for you. You're going to be seeing a link to a download on the right. It has some of these facts and more on it. Please download it and share it with your school's decision makers. Hang it up. Let your staff see it so that they understand why their job is so important. Next topic, dollars and cents. And this is the common sense variety of sense. Everything comes back to money in the end, right? You're going to be asked to cut your budget and tighten corners. It's just going to happen. The key here is to make sure that you are doing it with as much information as possible so that you can make smart decisions. So the next question for all of you is, how much do you spend on your current cleaning product per quart bottle? A little bit of a trick question here. You notice I didn't ask you how much you spend on gallons or how much you spend on a case of product. I asked you how much you spend on one bottle. Let's say it's a standard 32-ounce bottle. The reason I ask this is that there are companies that are really great at obscuring the true cost of your cleaning products. You will be offered cheap gallons or cheap case prices, but once you dilute that product down correctly, you're going to see that it's actually way more expensive per bottle than what you're believing. If you're using ready-to-use products, then you're almost certainly paying more for a bottle than if you were using a concentrate. The cost difference can be as dramatic as paying over $3 for a bottle of RTU when you could be paying less than 10 cents a bottle using diluted concentrate. Ask your suppliers what the in-use cost of diluted quarts and gallons is to start that conversation and obtain the information that you need to make good decisions. Trust me when I say that your purchaser and your financial officers will thank you for your attention to detail in this realm. So looking at the poll results that we've got out there, it's pretty much all over the board. You know, some of you've got between $1 and $3. You've got 28% less than $1 and 31% less than 10 cents. That 14% that says, I'm not sure out there, I encourage you, ask those questions. Get in front of the sales professionals coming to talk to you. Give the manufacturer a call. They'll have that information for you. So the O in wisdom, overtime. This can be a nemesis of many cleaning staffs. Not only does it cost you more money, but if you have to pay it out regularly, then it can really wear down your staff over time. So a question for you, how much overtime does your staff typically work within a week? If you're not sure about this, that's fine. You can answer with just that. This is just a way for us to find out how much people are really taking a look at this. So whether you're good at tracking overtime or not, let's look at what contributes to it. Because once you do know how much overtime your staff is working, you're going to want to find ways to reduce it. And again, you know, this isn't just about saving money. This is saving your staff from burnout. So as the poll results come in, and it's so much fun watching this, guys. I wish you could see it and watch these lines move back and forth. We're looking like we've got probably about 30% of you that don't work any overtime at all, which is good for you. Congratulations. You've probably got good cleaning practices in place and good methods. Got about half of you that are working between 1 and 5 hours and the rest between 5 and 10. For those of you who are over that 15, 20-hour mark, you'll want to really take a look at some of these ideas because it really can help you. And again, it's not just about saving money. We're trying to save your staff from getting burnt out on their jobs. So we've got 3 areas that you can think about that can help. First one is accountability. It's a little strange one. It's not something you normally think about when you're thinking about overtime. But are your cleaning staff held accountable for finishing their work on time? If they don't finish it, are they asked why? It doesn't need to be a combative situation. It can be just a simple question. Don't put emotion into it. Just ask the question, why were they working overtime? You're trying to help them do their job better and more effectively. If the reason it is investigated, are you finding ways to improve? Are you looking at why things are happening like this and actually doing something about it to correct the behavior? It's really easy to get caught up in the day-to-day activities and really forget to examine these types of issues. Morale is something that we're going to cover more in depth here in a moment, but realize that it is just as important to recognize that staff with lower morale often work slower and maybe even sloppier. It's just human nature. It's going to cause a lot more work for you. Cleaning methods. Are your products the best that they can be? If they don't work well, it might require rework or reapplication or just plain and simple more manpower to clean. Good old elbow grease, right? And that could be eating into a worker's day. And now our last topic, but certainly not the least. So morale. The truth is, you can have the best cleaning product, the most effective procedures, and the best equipment. But it's not going to matter if your team is annoyed, frustrated, or demotivated. The work will suffer. Morale is probably one of your most important pieces to take a look at with your team. So let me ask you, is your staff's morale currently high or is it low? Do you know? If you're not sure, that's okay. As we wait for answers to come in, I want to point out how interconnected all of these are. One of the ways you can combat low morale is by making sure you're asking for input. Remember that suggestion box? Remember just asking the question of your team? If they feel that you are genuinely asking about them, you are going to get a genuine answer. A study shows that 1 in 4 workers who felt no support structure for adequate work-life balance plan to quit in the following 2 years. That's a really important statistic, especially when you consider how high turnover is in the cleaning industry, 200%, remember that? And then it cost an estimated $1,000 to recruit and train replacement staff. Trust me when I say it is much more cost-effective to keep an existing team member than it is to replace them. So it looks like a good percentage of you, 44%, have a team that's in a high morale situation. Fantastic. You must be doing some of these things, and you must be doing them on a pretty regular basis to achieve those kind of numbers. We've got 36% that are in the low part. These ideas can really help you folks. We talk about that suggestion box and we think it might be a little silly, but if you are responding genuinely and sincerely to your team members, they will know and they'll feel it, and you can do something to affect that. And for those of you that aren't sure, ask questions. We're going to be having a questionnaire that's going to be popping up on your screen. Take that questionnaire, download it, give it to your staff. Compare those answers. Once you truly understand what's driving how your employees are feeling, you'll be able to actually do something about it. This information is also going to be in an ebook that we're going to be offering at the end of the webinar, and it's going to go over all the material that we've covered. The lower the score, the more work you have to do. But at least you're going to know where you're at and where to start, and what you can do about it. So if you do have low morale, what do you do? Well, here are some ideas that can help. Keeping the wages and benefits competitive. This is a hard one. This may be an area that you really don't fully control. Hopefully, by helping show you why your staff is so important, you can help make a case to those who do have these decision-making capabilities. Strive to promote from within. It is not always clear in an organization if there are opportunities for advancement. And if you don't promote from within, that can make people feel like they have nowhere to grow. Recognize outstanding work. This can be done so many ways, folks. It can be a simple praise, pat on the back. Some people like to have the praise given publicly. Some people like to have it given in private. You can do an Employee of the Month certificate. You can do an award. Whatever you do, just make sure that you do it regularly and you do it with sincerity. Again, your team will know the difference. Encourage feedback. Here it is again. Suggestion box. Whatever works best for you. Just make sure that you're out there getting the input from the folks that matter. Make sure that they feel that you care about their job and their happiness within their job. And then you can plan some company outings. This is something that used to be much more prevalent. I'm an 80s child. I remember growing up doing these types of things, but it's fallen by the wayside. It really is a shame because getting everyone involved and getting everyone together for a team building or just hanging out can be a lot of fun, and it can go a long way to connecting the team. You can do some real simple things, whether it's a cookout or whether it's sitting down and playing a game together. The important thing is building team work. All right. So where do you go from here? Well, we've got plenty of tools to help you. First of all, we've got a checklist that you can download. Take stock of your own staff. What needs improvement? What can you do immediately? If you have quite a few different things that you need to be worked on, just pick one or two areas and tackle those first. Trying to tackle everything at once is almost a recipe for failure. Save the rest for later. Wait until you successfully have overcome those first ones, those most important ones. Just remember that this is all connected. We also have an ebook available. We're going to be putting that link up for you now. And don't worry if you missed any of the downloads during the webinar. After this webinar, we're going to be sending you links to all of the information that we have just gone through. And you can always go to www.enviroxclean, that's enviroxclean.com/cleaningwisdom. And you'll find everything there as well. Thank you all very much for joining us. Before you go, please sign up for our monthly newsletter. We offer up all of our webinars, ebooks, blogs, case studies, and more through that link. You can click on that link to the right for easy sign up. And finally, always feel free to reach out to us directly with your questions or comments. You can reach us via email at sales@enviroxclean.com. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful afternoon.